What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what's really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi is down 6.6%, 26.93 the low, 27.93 the high, and 91.2 million shares being traded. So a lot of volume is getting into SoFi. And one thing, in case you don't know, what came out after hours yesterday was this. So a S3, and so that's a shelf offering, good for 3 years, price of $27.50. Initially, it looks like about 54 million shares is being offered with a 30-day extension of about 8.1. And so that's about $1.5 billion. So essentially, if you just do the basic math, just from SoFi's old market cap where it was, realistically, this should bring it down about 4.67%. That's, again, if you just do it in that capacity. But the fact that it is getting hit so much clearly goes to show that the market doesn't really like it. And even generally, SoFi is the talk of the town. Even on StockTwits, it's the #1 most trending or discussed stock. Even on Twitter, my feed is completely riddled with SoFi this, SoFi that. And I feel like people are very divided on this issuance. Bears are bringing up saying that this is the second issuance kind of point in the last 6 months. So they're kind of pointing out a more obvious trend, whereas the bulls are staying optimistic, saying that this is happening for a reason, as what usually bulls tend to do. So on my channel, I'm not here to pump you up. I'm not here to bring you down. Despite me having a SoFi position, I always like to stay neutral. So ultimately, I do lean onto the bullish side, only because SoFi does have, from their last earnings, sufficient amount of cash. They shouldn't need this. There's a couple of things that did happen. Similar type of issuance, I did believe, occurred in 2023, which, again, at that time, they didn't really need money. They just wanted a moat, just in case of, let's say, hard economic times coming down the pipeline. They want to have be safe. So this could be one attributing factor why SoFi is doing it, or kind of the more consensus is that SoFi plans some sort of acquisition in regards to cryptocurrency. I think that's clearly their big thing. And so in my opinion, that's kind of what the bulls are doing. I do lean on to the side that they're just doing this for a moat, just for kind of safety purposes. Again, just in case, especially based on the Feds and everything else, fears over consumers, this is their moat that they want to have. Again, I don't really see many people bringing up that side. People always assume companies do this just to do acquisitions. Sometimes companies just do this to be safe. And SoFi, I think this has been one thing that people didn't really like about them early on, like in 2024, was that they were playing it very safe. Of course, it's panned out very well for them. But again, if you are in that same mentality of playing it safe, you want to have a moat. So in my opinion, is this good? No dilution is good whatsoever. But bigger picture, is it going to be a big deal? No, not at all. Several years down the line, you're going to forget this happened. No different than a lot of you forgot that the issuance, I think it happened in, again, 2023 or early 2024. Everyone forgot that happened. So same will happen with this, in my opinion. But nonetheless, when it comes down to the market today, it's kind of torn. So we did get PCE and also Michigan consumer sentiment exactly flat. So the market doesn't generally know how to interpret this. At the same time, you have a lot of analysts early this morning saying that, hey, Thursday's rally was epic, but I think it was premature. And so a couple of big names have stated that. And a lot of that prematureness is coming from this. So right now there's a 87.2% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. So potentially yesterday, if the market was actually starting to price this in, again, it might be seen as premature. The Cent didn't help by saying that technically, like, we will be getting a cut in December and most likely as well January. That probably didn't help anyone, but nonetheless, one also thing that's coming out potentially later today is this right here. So Trump to meet with Mexico and Canada in regards to trade. So this is, again, something that might really stimulate the broader market if we get some good updates today. This was the tweet from yesterday saying that Trump is going to be talking with them. Today, Trump just said might meet. So again, don't hold your breath if anything is going to happen, but again, this might be a good potential. And then I think everyone as well is waiting for SoFi to see if they get added to the S&P 500. And if so, anticipate a very nice push higher, roughly around 10%. So just wanted to kind of share that with you. Regarding shorts, they are returning about 32,000 shares. So I always like to analyze this type of information because by shorts returning, they kind of signals that today's sell-off isn't really justified because there is more than enough ammunition for them to double and triple down. There's more than 10 million shares, and it is very cheap to short SoFi. So in general, they could easily double down, but the fact that they're not, I see that as optimistic. 9.9% of the free floats being shorted works out to be 118.3 million shares overall being shorted. Looking at the options, 80 million in calls, 32 million in puts, so a lot of money is getting into SoFi. Although 50% of all the options being done today are bearish in nature, but most of that was done in the first half an hour of the trading day. So I wouldn't really believe this data whatsoever. From a bull standpoint, you see consensus for it to close above 28. Bears are anticipating for it to close sub 27. So pretty much where we are at, it's level ground. With today being Friday, just take notice of this. So you do have at the 28, 5,000, 28.50, 9,000, 29, 9,000, 29.50, 9,000. And again, if SoFi gets added to the S&P, you could see maybe the 30s again. So potentially you could see a gamma squeeze, but still, I wouldn't really hold my breath in my opinion. That might be unpopular opinion, of course, but this is why I always like to go over the data, because even though SoFi is down 6.93%, you're actually seeing a overwhelming amount of institutions buying. So first thing, you had a solid $24.9 million transaction. This next one, so 2.8, that was a sell, but 1.9, 1.3, 1.3, 1.2, so forth and so forth. A lot of big money is actually buying the SoFi dip. So definitely good to see. These are some of the transactions occurring on the dark pool. So since shorts aren't really doing too much, it is fair to assume that most of this is actually linked to hedge funds. So hedge funds are fairly active today, so that's a good thing. With it right now at 27.55, smack dab in the middle between this pivot and this S1. Most likely, neither of these are going to be touched today, potentially after hours, again, depending on if they get in the S&P 500 or not. You could see maybe this pivot point or R1 being touched, so 28.37 and then 29.94. No new analyst ratings today, so we did get a couple of new ones yesterday, and that was a $31 by JP Morgan, 31 by Mizuho. One increased, one decreased their ratings. So again, something to keep in mind, but I've already brought that up in my video yesterday. And conveniently, that dilution announcement came out like 10 minutes after I posted my video, which was poor timing. But nonetheless, looking at the chart, because of again, that dilution, it's below the 50-day moving average. So it's being kind of artificially pushed lower, but right now it kind of wedge bound between that 50 and 100. So today seems to be more of a one-off. Over the next couple of trading days, it's going to be key whether we do really start to push higher above that 50-day moving average or continue to break down below that 100. As well, if we do get a cut for the upcoming December 10th meeting, that could be also a good catalyst to really push the broader market higher. So that's going to be something to pay attention to. Stochastic RSI is very overbought, so that's also really affecting SoFi today. Algorithmic trading very much all over SoFi today. You can see that from the smaller transactions, but there again really hasn't been that much in articles or anything else. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. What is your thoughts on this dilution? Do you think it is for some big acquisition? Do you think it is for something else? Like I said, maybe just for a general moat, just to strengthen their balance sheet. It happens time and time again. Just people don't like to say that because it kind of shows that the company is looking out for itself. And honestly, I'm good with that, right? As long as the company is good, that's what my investment, that's why I'm doing and have an investment with SoFi. So some people might see it in a different capacity. But one final thing though, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. I even did include SoFi as a good entry level between that 27 and 27.20. And that would have been a pretty nice little minor swing trade. But again, pop over to the Patreon, link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.